again.
Welcome to the programme. Tonight's headlines: black farm workers targeted in new Zimbabwe violence. British parents plead with FBI, find our kidnapped son. And the champions celebrate their title with another victory. The crisis in Zimbabwe deteriorated further today as black farm workers became the victims of violence. They were attacked after being accused of backing the party which opposes President Robert Mugabe. White workers also spoke today about their terror at being held hostage by 1,000 squatters. Tim Hewitt is in Zimbabwe. He sent this report.
More farm buildings were put to the torch today. More of the vital tobacco crop was ruined. And farm workers are now the main target of violence. This group was attacked after being accused of supporting the opposition party, the MDC.
They said, you guys, you support MDC, so we have to kill you today.
On this farm, the Forester estate, another human drama was unfolding. War veterans who told us to stay away were holding the farm manager and 2 women hostage after invading the property with hundreds of armed followers. This is the road to the Forester estate. The war veterans and their followers now perceive journalists, particularly white foreign journalists, as the enemy, and we've been warned to go no further. This afternoon, the hostages were released. The farm manager and his girlfriend, and the estate secretary, unhurt but terrified.
I had batons and pangas and steel piping brandished in my face.
Did you think at any stage that you might not get out alive?
Yeah, often last night.
Good to meet you.
It was that bad?
Yeah, when you've got 1,000 people outside and there are only 3 of you inside, not much you can do, you just know.
For one group, a narrow escape. For another, the misery of continuing intimidation. Tim Hewitt, ITN, Zimbabwe.
Here, there are new fears of thousands of job losses in Britain's motor industry tonight. It follows confirmation that Tony Blair has held talks with the boss of Ford, which is considering closing its huge Dagenham plant. Also, unions say hopes of saving most of the jobs at Rover's Longbridge plant are fading. Here's Harry Smith.
This was Ford's Dagenham plant today, closed for Easter Monday, and the fear of many in this area is that this is the picture of things to come. Ford has a big problem with overcapacity in Europe and has to find ways of cutting back. One option is to transfer production of the Fiesta from here to Germany by the end of next year, with the loss of 3,000 jobs. The fact that the Prime Minister has intervened suggests he doesn't want to be taken by surprise, as he was with Rover. The unions say strikes could follow if Ford breaks its word.
We'll do what's necessary to make sure that Ford honour the agreement that they struck with us for our plant to have a new model, indeed a future. And we'll do what's necessary to make sure the British people don't continue to be treated unfairly in Europe by being quick, cheap and easy to sack.
Any strike could threaten other Ford factories. As well as Dagenham, Ford Transit vans are produced in Southampton, engines are made at Bridgend in South Wales, and Halewood on Merseyside is currently being converted for Jaguar production. The latest uncertainty here at Dagenham comes just as the unions are preparing for an 11th-hour bid to save thousands of jobs at Longbridge. They'll fly out to Munich on Wednesday in the hope of persuading BMW to extend its deadline for the sale of Rover. BMW plans to sell Longbridge to the venture capital firm Alchemy, who'll cut the workforce in half and concentrate on making fewer cars under the MG brand. An alternative bid aims to keep more jobs, but it needs more time to put its bid together. The government has already tried to win that time. At Dagenham, market forces suggest it'll probably be able to do little more to help. Harry Smith, ITN.
A massive hunt is on for armed kidnappers who abducted 20 people, including 12 tourists, from an island in Malaysia. The hostages include 3 German and 2 French holidaymakers. They were staying on the resort of Sipadan off Malaysia's east coast. The gang took them away in boats, possibly towards the Philippines. Sipadan is one of Asia's top diving resorts. The tourists were forced out of their holiday villas at gunpoint. 2 Americans who escaped from the gang tonight arrived in the capital, Kuala Lumpur. They said they'd escaped by running into bushes. The parents of a British man kidnapped at gunpoint in America pleaded with his abductor tonight to let them know where he is. Paul Gale from Birmingham was snatched in a hotel in Kentucky, reportedly by his girlfriend's jealous former lover. Here's Guy Smith.
Elsie and Jeff Gale wait in hope for the phone call that'll tell them their son's been found alive and well.
A nightmare. Really a nightmare, agony. They'll find Paul.
They'll find him. Just hope they find him.
Find him.
Paul Gale, who was working as a computer consultant in the United States, was allegedly kidnapped from this hotel in Kentucky by his girlfriend's former lover. He was seen being handcuffed and taken away by a man posing as an FBI special agent. Mr. Gale hasn't been seen now for a week. His family in the West Midlands fear the worst.
We haven't really been to bed since we heard on Wednesday, and we've been down Mum's, been stopping here all night. It's like you get along, try and get Mum off to sleep, but it's getting worse, yeah.
The FBI says a man's been arrested and charged with abducting the 28-year-old Briton.
The FBI takes any abduction matter as a very serious matter, and anytime someone is abducted, we're very concerned about that. We've dedicated significant resources to locating Mr. Gale, and we hope to find him unharmed.
Meanwhile, Paul Gale's whereabouts remain a mystery. Guy Smith, ITN.
Court officials will meet tomorrow to discuss claims that jurors in the trial of the Norfolk farmer Tony Martin may have been intimidated. Martin was found guilty of murdering 16-year-old Fred Barris after the teenager broke into his home. Martin's lawyers are expected to lodge an appeal this week. And the biggest teaching union in England and Wales will find out tomorrow whether its members have decided to back plans for a one-day strike over performance-related pay. Delegates to the National Union of Teachers have been debating the issue at their annual conference in Harrogate. British forces came close to running out of ammunition during the conflict in Kosovo. That's the finding of a leaked report, which also claims that thousands of essential medicines were past their use-by dates. Lauren Taylor has the details.
Among the problems highlighted in the leaked National Audit Office report are those involving Royal Navy Harrier aircraft based on HMS Invincible during the Kosovo campaign. The report says the Harriers flew with missiles which suffered from being close to heat and vibration, such that within 2 months, over half the missiles were unserviceable. Overall, it says munitions and medicines were close to running out. It also found widespread problems with radios, and that troops were sometimes forced to use civilian mobile phones or satellite phones.
A lot of troops that I saw out in Kosovo and back at home said that they talked about a concept run by the MOD called just in time, which was to get spares out to the troops just in time, and they referred to it as not enough just in time. This report seems to back that up. Very worrying. It's all about cuts, it's all about savings, and it's about accountants running the MOD.
At all times in Kosovo, we operated a proper supply system to ensure that we were supplied with munitions as and when we needed them. There was no question at any time of any of the munitions running out.
There are some positive points too in the report. It praises the campaign for achieving its security goals and helping to rebuild the province. While ministers reject the draft report's suggestion that shortages were critical, they say some of the problems highlighted have already been acknowledged and are being tackled. But they're also preparing their own full report into what lessons can be learned from Kosovo that will be published in May. Lauren Taylor, ITN, at the Ministry of Defence.
Football, Manchester United returned to Old Trafford today as Premiership champions and then went on to show why they've clinched their 6th title in 8 seasons. They beat Chelsea 3-2 in front of 60,000 jubilant fans. Here's Ian Abrahams.
Old Trafford, once again the home of the champions, and preparing to celebrate with a victory over Chelsea. And a guard of honour for United from their opponents. Followed by a gift from goalkeeper Ed De Hoy. Dwight York was one of the stranger goals seen at Old Trafford this season. But to their credit, Chelsea responded with 2 goals in quarter of an hour. First, Dan Petrescu capitalised on poor defending. Then Gianfranco Zola took advantage of Henning Berg's slip.
Chelsea in front. Gianfranco Zola.
United, unbeaten at home all season, equalised before half-time. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer firing inside De Hoy's near post. And all this in front of new signing Ruud van Nistelrooy. The champions won it 20 minutes from time. Dwight York tapped in their 90th goal this season. Jordi Cruyff could have increased the winning margin. Sir Alex Ferguson's side proved again they have no equals in the Premiership. Chelsea's defeat means they look like missing out on a place in the Champions League, while for United's fans, another title to enjoy. Ian Abrahams, ITN Sport.
There are also some important games today at the other end of the Premiership. Derby edged away from the relegation zone with a 2-0 win over Southampton. This goal from striker Malcolm Christie sealing the victory. Bradford, meanwhile, gave themselves a chance of avoiding relegation with a 1-0 victory at Sunderland, John Dreyer scoring the goal. It was their first away win in 7 months. In the Nationwide League First Division, Charlton drew 1-1 with Blackburn, which proved enough for them to be crowned champions. And in the Second Division, Preston also clinched the title despite losing 2-0 to Cambridge. And that's it this Easter Monday. From all of us here, good night.
Hello, good evening. It's been a real mixed bag for Bank Holiday Monday. Typical Bank Holiday weather, in fact. Plenty of rain around, even some thunderstorms, low pressure in charge. And as far as the week ahead goes, that remains on the scene, translating into even more wet weather to come, I'm afraid. So now back to the moment to hand, and we see two bands of rain on the scene, one pushing ever northwards across southern areas with some rain attached to that. Further north, this one pushes across Scotland, snow on the higher ground in central Scotland, in between a whole pile of showers. Now with our temperatures tonight, down as low as 2 in the very far north and windy with it, further south between 5 and 8, and all the time that wind increasing. Going into tomorrow morning, taking the northern half of Britain, we see a lot of rain around, again snow on the higher ground there in Scotland. During the course of the day, that main area of rain pushes ever northwards. We might see some in the extreme southeast later on. On the whole, it's a mixture of sunshine and showers with a risk of thunder as well. As for our temperatures tomorrow, very similar to today's values in fact, but a distinct cool feel to things under that main band of rain in the north, pegged back there and breezy everywhere.
Power Gen. Power, whatever the weather.
Good evening, welcome to the latest West Country news. Parish churches across Cornwall are celebrating this Easter after having £250,000 of debt written off. The Bishop of Truro announced the diocese would wipe the slate clean of more than £300,000 owed to its common fund.
Citing the biblical principle of Jubilee, arrears totalling £311,000 have been written off with immediate effect.
It occurs in the book of Leviticus in the Old Testament. It's something that happened every 50 years, a writing off of debts, a fresh start for people, and it's that principle that the Bishop of Truro has decided to apply in the diocese.
Over the years, some 39 parish churches in Cornwall have built up large debts to the common fund. The fund is gathered through Sunday collections and money that's bequeathed and mainly used to pay the wages of clergy. St Andrew's in Redruth is a typical example of a church struggling to survive in a deprived parish. It owed £26,000.
If you're in debt and the debt goes back a long way, then it really is quite difficult to see how you're going to sort yourself out and start again. So what we're doing is writing that off and saying we'll have a fresh start.
While the injection of goodwill has been welcomed by churchgoers across the county, the Bishop is keen to stress those who've been working tirelessly over the years to pay off past arrears have not been forgotten. Dulcie Gallagher for West Country News.
Police in Cornwall are investigating a suspicious death after the body of a 44-year-old woman was found in a ground floor flat in Truro Road, St Austell this lunchtime. Officers say they're not looking for anyone in connection with the death at the moment. A post-mortem is due to be carried out in the morning. One man died and another is seriously ill in hospital after a road accident in Torquay yesterday. Holidaymaker Gerald Mason, who was 62 and from Wales, was crossing Torbay Road to get to the Livermead Cliff Hotel when he was in collision with a Honda motorcycle. The driver, 51-year-old Arthur Roberts, who's from the Livermead area, is in a serious but stable condition at Plymouth's Derriford Hospital. Police are appealing for witnesses. Devon and Cornwall police could benefit from a cash boost aimed at tackling rural crime. Reports suggest the government is planning to allocate millions of pounds to areas which are sparsely populated. It follows the outcry over the conviction of Tony Martin, the Norfolk farmer who took the law into his own hands and killed a teenage intruder. Now, football and mixed news for our local clubs today. Exeter City are now safe in Division 3 after a 3-0 win against Lincoln. A goal just seconds from time gave Torquay a dramatic 3-2 victory against Macclesfield at Plainmoor, but Plymouth Argyle's hopes of promotion are effectively over after a 3-0 defeat at Leyton Orient.
A day to remember despite the wind and rain for Exeter at St James's Park. John Cornforth settled a few nerves with a penalty on the stroke of half-time, but the game will be best remembered for two excellent goals from Gary Alexander in the space of 6 minutes midway through the second half. The first with the outside of his boot, the second a cool finish from Jason Reese's through ball. With other results going their way, Exeter definitely stay up. Quite a game at Plainmoor in similar conditions. John Askey put Macclesfield ahead in the 9th minute with a neat touch past Stuart Jones. At the other end, Tony Beddoe took full advantage of a dreadful defensive blunder to equalise, but Torquay's joy was short-lived. Even the home fans had to applaud a real goal-of-the-season contender, Paul Ware letting fly from fully 35 yards to give Jones absolutely no chance.